Dan, good morning. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking, Ryan.
You're more than welcome. Welcome to the show. We absolutely love the T3 folks here. Happy to add you.
Oh, great. I'm excited to be here. I've got some big shoes to fill, but I'll see what I can do.
Okay, well, we're going to start it off easy here for you. One of the things that I've done with the T3 guys, just as kind of a series here, I want to get to know your trading style, the types of things that you look for. So let's start with that. How would you describe your trading style, and what kind of stocks or options do you go after?
So, great question. It's evolved over the last few years. For many years, we were solely credit spread, iron condor, um, you know, tr- selling options a lot more than buying. And then we developed some technology and an indicator, and it's pretty good. So that's kind of taken us from being predominantly a swing trader to predominantly day trader. So in the morning, I'll usually have two or three morning picks, and those have a really high win rate. And the reason for that is I look for stocks that are really active in the aftermarket, and usually there's a catalyst, earnings
Mm-hmm.
or news or analyst upgrade, and then I'll look at where that high was during that morning session. I focus only on really big name, big volume stocks that have weekly options, and the reason is we like to go in as less expensive as possible on the price of the option. So I'll put a line across
Mm-hmm.
the top of the highest point during the pre-market, and I'll put that out to our members. And of course, I trade it myself. And what the reason I think that the win rate is so high on these is we only enter them if they cross the line. So if I say enter at $100, don't go in if it hits 99.75. You can use a 1 minute chart if you want. And then I'll have a target, and that target's usually going back to past resistance. It all, I think, sounds probably pretty obvious, but it's amazing how well it works and how few people I see doing it. So, like currently, I think month to date, 55% return on those morning picks, because usually they're either going to trigger, and if they trigger, they're usually going to do what they're supposed to, or they're
And you're
not.
just going to stay up. So
And
first of all, Dan, sorry for jumping in here, but I absolutely love this. I don't know if you could have said anything better. One of the things that we look at here every day, whether it's a big stock, like a big cap tech stock, or one of these smaller movers that we try to trade just on momentum, are going to be those pre-market highs. And you're absolutely right in your assessment there. You cracked that. A lot of the times these things keep running. We obviously mark those off as key levels. Let me just ask you real quick, not to put you on the spot here, but did we get a setup that you like in Circle yesterday? The stock popped in the pre-market, made a pre-market high, leaked the entire rest of the pre-market. Buyer stepped in almost immediately at the open, sent this thing higher, and this had a pretty good break on volume through that pre-market high.
so you're asking if I had
Yeah, I'm
one of
just asking
those?
if this is a pretty good setup based on your trading, given the price action
Yeah,
yesterday.
no, that you called it. Yesterday, I had two picks that went out to our members. The first one was AMD, and it triggered. It did everything it was exactly it was supposed to. It triggered, ran up. Our members made about 65 cents on the option pick. And then some members went in again after it pulled back, because a lot of times the second time that it went in, let me tell you what level I had. See here, and forgive me if I fumble. I'm kind of new at
It's
doing
quite all
this.
right. I'm here to help you out. I got a chart for AMD as well.
And if only my eyes were better, I could use your chart. Let's see. Is it 10? Yeah, 131.20 was the goal that we were looking to break. Let me just confirm that here. And I'm on Pacific time, so I'm a zombie right now. That's all the excuses I've got.
That's okay. We've got some Pacific timers in here. We know how it goes. We talk to them regularly. I'm Central, so I'm actually not Eastern either. Central
Where are you?
time, so I'm actually an hour behind Eastern.
Okay.
I can't help it. I love getting up in the morning and getting after it.
I was a bond trader for Bear Stearns back, in the 80s. It seems like, and that I worked in the New York office for the first maybe year, and I just begged them because I wanted to be back in the San Francisco area. And from that day forward, I never got another good night's sleep because
5:35 there in Silicon Valley. Well, like I said, we got a number of West Coasters out there.
And sorry, I think I've got it. So yeah, I think, can you see, does 131 make sense? I'm trying to pull up my.
Yeah, 131.50 was about that pre-market high.
Yeah. Okay. So I had, I think 131.20 was the level that I was looking to see crossed. And I think I actually, there it is. Sorry, Ryan. 131.20 was the level. And then the target was 134 in terms of how high I thought that it might go. And we tell people you don't have to hold them to the target. When you're happy, you can take them. This is not about, squeezing every penny out of the pick. It's about, making a good return. So it crossed, ran right up to 132.20. So when I said our members made, between 50 and 65 cents on the option, and then it pulled back and did it again about 45 minutes later. And that time it went even higher. I think it went to 133.20-ish. So that was a really good one. I don't know. You want any more?
No. I was basically just asking you about Circle because I was trying to follow along with what you were saying here, and it sure looks like Circle would have given you a pretty good setup. AMD too. But let me actually ask you here. We kind of just talked about this being the morning. One of the other things that I've really asked all of the different T3 folk, what is your process in the morning? So when you're preparing for a day, what is it that you do? Scott does the whole cold plunge thing outside, which is absolutely crazy. Some other people review news, other people review gappers. What is it for you? What's the morning prep for you? Whether it's exercise, mental, or just kind of reading charts or news. What's your process in the morning?
So I'm no spring chicken. To me, stretching has become really important. It's something I just historically have not done well enough. And as I've gotten up there a little bit in age, I'm really noticing, I feel like my strength is okay. But stretching's been an issue. So I stretch. I listen to like some inspiring stuff on YouTube. I have a really massive screen in my office, so I'm on the floor. My German Shepherd's usually right next to me, licking my face, and I'm telling him no, but it wakes me up. And in fact, he just knocked down one of my signs. Then I do push-ups, dips, squats, and stretch while I'm watching, something inspirational on YouTube. And at that point, it's usually about 5:50-ish, going on to 6. I always get up at 5:30, and then that's when I start looking for my morning picks. And at the same time, I'm looking, as soon as I find the morning picks, usually try to get 1 to 3 of them out there to the members. And then that's when I'll start really looking at levels for the market. What do I see longer term? But again, as I said, our horizon is usually going to be shorter term day trades, but still stay very aware of what's happening with the bigger picture.
Okay, awesome. It sounds like a lot of these guys, you included, definitely some physical preparation in the morning to get your head into the right space there. Absolutely love to hear that. Okay, can I ask you some poignant questions about what's going on with the market here today? I'm sure you've got stocks that you want to talk about, but I did really quickly want to get your thought on some of these interest rate cuts. I know you joined there. I think we were done talking about the Fed stuff by the time you joined. But in any case, what are your thoughts on rates, cuts, and do you like any mortgage originators like Rocket, for example? I know you have a background in mortgage origination, don't you?
You did your
homework.
I did. That's good. So I do. Even at Bear Stearns, I started off just as a general bond trader. And then at that point, mortgage-backed securities, just to give you an idea how old I am, it was in the early 80s, mortgage-backed securities were becoming a thing. And I literally worked my way through college, originating mortgages every day. So I looked really, really, really young. I was young anyway, but I got some fake glasses. These are real, by the way. And I tried to put a little gray in my hair on the sides. It turned purple because my hair is so dark. So instead of looking older, I looked a little bit like a punk rocker. Um, but Wall Street just thought I was the smartest guy in the world because I understood mortgages, and it was amazing that they were buying billions of dollars of these things, and they had no idea. I remember at one point the head trader at Goldman, he said to me, "Man, you must be really, really smart." I was like, me? No. Unless I think the C average at San Jose State is smart. Because, they were talking to only Ivy Leaguers. And I said, well, why do you think mortgage is such a big deal? And he said, well, we're trying to understand the prepayment behavior of these bonds. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, like, they don't seem to pay off like a corporate bond or government bond they in terms of their life. And I said, so you're asking why do they just sometimes not go to maturity? Yes. I said, well, sometimes people sell their houses. And his jaw dropped and he said, oh, it's tied to the home. You're buying billions of dollars of these things?
That's actually a really good story.
That's a true story. And then you'd have to be a mortgage to be able to laugh at the rest of this. But mortgage, there's some of the most basic terms in the world, like LTV, which is loan to value, DTI, which is debt to income. And he said, what about these like LTV? I said, oh, loan to value. They really didn't know this stuff. So I was kind of a hot commodity. So right from trading bonds, I was moved to what they called the specialized mortgage desk, and we were selling what we called at the time story bonds. So we might say, hey, you want to pay a premium for these bonds because they're going to stick around longer than other bonds. And they said, well, how do you know? We actually did have a model that would determine. And in fact, Orange County, which is where I was from, was one of those areas that had very slow prepayments. So we could get investors to spend more for these bonds because they were going to stick around. So that said, I've always been some way or another involved in the mortgage business. I was CEO of a company that we took public back in the late 90s. It was actually one of the first companies, it was the first company to do mortgages online. So again, people thought we were pretty smart and way ahead of our time, but it was obvious where that was going to go. So all that said, and then since 2008, every day, with very few exceptions, I've done a daily bond market report for the mortgage industry. And so that's grown to be, a pretty big following just because there's a lot of mortgage originators. So we follow the Fed extremely close. I just, not to be controversial or anything, it has nothing to do with Powell. He seems like a really great guy. I just have never, ever been a fan of the Fed, any Fed. I don't care who it is. We can't have a free market with the Fed. We just can't. We're 100% controlled and manipulated by the Fed. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's just when they decide rates are going to go up, then things are going to happen. And when they decide they're going to go down, things are going to happen. And if you study this, and you probably have, Ryan, the Fed's been late to every single party as far back as I can see. And we're literally seeing it play out right now. We're seeing, my opinion, I'm not trying to put out fear or anything. I'm not saying there's something horrible coming, but I'm saying the economic data is not getting prettier. It's getting worse. And Sunday nights I do a video, and I will usually say, okay, that's one thing against economy. That's two things against economy. There's one for the economy. And at the time, Sunday night, it was hard to find anything good to say. Jobless claims are just continuing to go up. CEO confidence is going down, and all that's happening. And there's way more, but I'm talking too much. Valuations are going up, not down. And if you look at the valuations historically, we were, I think, going back 10-year average, we're about 18.2 PE, price to earnings ratio. And as of yesterday, we were like 22. So the market's overvalued. It's been able to back up its, its valuations. But when you start seeing the economy slip, we should see PEs slipping a little bit, and they're not. So I think there's this kind of a mixed message. And specifically, the Fed, in my opinion, has everything that he needs. I don't have a PhD, and he's got 150 of them, which is probably a problem. I actually do think it's a problem. But he should be doing something now, because what's going to happen is we're going to see a pullback. It could cause problems. We could see the economy dip further, and then he's going to be on his heels playing catch up once again.
Dan, how dare you say that, man? Inflation is transitory. I mean, look, I'm with you 100% here. We'll see how this all shakes out. But I appreciate that. I appreciate that opinion. And I'll say this, you're not alone. Not only are you not alone amongst folks that know, but you're not alone amongst this group as well. So, okay. Do you like any of these stocks at all, or any of the option chains for these stocks?
Yeah, there's a couple that I'm watching that are interesting to me. I typically try to focus on stocks that you said options where. So again, this is probably obvious to a lot of people. I'm speaking, and it's not to such a well-educated, well-informed group as you guys. But I'll just do my best. So we don't buy stocks. We sell options. So if I like Tesla, I'm not going to buy Tesla, especially not at its current valuation. I'm going to look at the chart, and I'm going to look at the valuation, and I'm going to decide where I think Tesla should be, because it's always going to go there. Not because I'm a genius or psychic. It's just that's the way things work. In the end, valuations will always drive prices. It's just not an immediate, one-to-one thing. So I'm going to find out where I like Tesla. It's usually going to be very near the bottom of a support area, and I'm going to sell options at that exact price. I have so for those of you that don't know, if I say Tesla's going to go to 250. And it doesn't, and I sell that Tesla option, maybe I put $350 in my pocket per contract. And if it goes to that level, I get Tesla at what I would say is a wholesale price. So I'm getting paid to buy stocks at wholesale. One time I sold against the stock I wanted to own 7 times in a row. So I collected premium 7 times, and the stock never came to me. Was I crying? No. That's the beauty about the strategy. I'm agnostic. Give me the premium or give me the stock. And then when I buy the stock, nothing that I own is long-term in my mind. I do have a long-term portfolio. I have a midterm, and of course I have my daily trading account. But the whole idea is I'm not gonna pay retail for the stock. And when I own it, to me, it's like a rental property. I'm going to rent it out. I'm not going to let it sit there vacant. And by that, we're going to sell calls against that. There's an actual strategy people call the wheel. Mine's modified, but it's just incredibly powerful. I was listening to, I think it was last week, Adam. I wanted to listen to a recent interview, so get a feel for what he was doing with you guys. And, he continued to refer to collecting premium. So I know he's kind of on that same page. But, and he said, so I don't worry as much about, holding the stocks because they're constantly making money for me. And the only time that strategy doesn't work is when the market pulls way back. But you were going to buy the stock anyway.
And at wholesale prices, mind you. So pretty good strategy, if you ask me. Is there any particular setup that you like right now that you want to discuss with the group? And by the way, and I'm sorry, I got so enthralled into asking the new guest questions here, forgot to do the read for you. Sign up to trade live with Wall Street veteran Dan Rawitch. Am I pronouncing your name correct?
So close.
Rawitch. Okay.
Like an uncooked fish.
Last time I'll screw that up, I promise you. Dan, Rawitch, absolutely free through June 27th. QR code's at the top of the screen there. Link is in the chat. Thank you, producer, for throwing that out there. So, Dan, you got anything that you like here? Any charts that we can show? Any setups that you like?
Yeah. So right now, I think the energy is going to be an interesting play. And I like CNP. That's Charlie November Papa.
Oh, and you do military alphabet too. Bless you, Dan. Thank you.
I know. I always think it's funny when you're calling somebody and they say, it's cottage cheese, napkin, and paper. What?
Oh.
Well, I'm a pilot, so you learn to talk that way. So there are a couple things, specifically on the 1 hour chart. It is definitely formed an upward channel. You can see that just about 20 days ago. No, I'm looking at the hour. Let me pull it up too. And I will give a plug real quick just to the indicator we developed, which is called Flight Station. Flight Station, it's 1,200 lines of code. So it's a really, really on trading view Pine script. So most of those indicators are like, 40 or 50 lines of code. So it's really complex. And it did flash a buy signal. I just opened the 1 minute chart and it was horrible. I almost threw up. Well, that's good. It came to the bottom of the range so far this morning, but it began an uptrend on the 18th of June, and it seems very clear to me that it's going to take out the high from Friday the 13th. So, and then from there, I just really feel like it's got a really straight shot to like 3760. Call it 38. Sorry. So I think that's going to be a pretty short-term play. They're really interesting. If you look longer term at the day chart, they've had a history of missing their earnings and the market not caring. Like if you look at their earnings on April 24th and you look what happened to the stock, it ran up. And if you look at what happened on February 20th, they missed their earnings. And at that point, it started to climb from 33 and did not stop until 39. That was all during missing their earnings. Time before that, this is the last one I'll tell you, October 28th, pulled back a tiny bit, but then began a run in around the 1st of November from 28, and it really actually never pulled back until it hit 39. So it's interesting, and we've got earnings coming in a few weeks, but I just think the stock is pretty good. And then I had another one. I don't know if there's time or
we got one more. I got time for one more here.
Is it Edison?
I'm sorry. What was the ticker?
Hang on, I'm just making sure I got it right. I had such great notes, Ryan. You wouldn't even believe it. And now I can't understand them. EIX. That's not the one.
It's not EIX, Edison International?
Well, I do like EIX technically right now. They had a really, really good favorable earnings report. And they also have been a stock that, for the most part, has done well during earnings. But EIX is, let me blow this up a little bit. EIX had a pretty good pullback recently.
Yeah, that was on the California fires.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, it's riding a channel almost perfectly beginning on June 16th. And it ran to the top of the channel, which to me was on the 20th of June at a price of about 51. And then it pulled back to the bottom of the channel and it just bounced off of that. And our system flashed a buy signal on June 23rd at a price of 49.71. And the top of the channel is like 52 bucks. And it also, what I really love is it bounced off the 50 period moving average. And then if you're looking at a volume profile, it bounced off the point of control, which was like 49.75. So it bounced off the channel, the 50, and the POC all within a 2-day period. And before those two things happened, our system flashed a buy signal. So I like that one. I think that's going to do well over the next few weeks.
Okay, awesome stuff here, Dan. Really appreciate it. Again, sign up to trade live with Wall Street veteran Dan. My God, I can't. Rawitch.
Uncooked witch.
What's that? Say that one more time. You broke up there.
Uncooked witch. An uncooked witch.
Okay. Now I have no excuse for forgetting it.
If you have me back, you'll never forget.
We will absolutely have you back. So anyway, sign up to trade live with Wall Street vet Dan Rawitch. Absolutely free today through June 27th. QR code is in the top right-hand side of the screen. Dan, appreciate you coming on here. I look forward to bringing you back.